Welcome everybody to 1 Million Cups Seattle. As Matthew said, there'll be some things dropping into the chat. Pay attention to those. See if I can get going here. There we go. Among those things will be the link. That's the one link that links to all the other links. But click on that and you'll get lots of information. It'll tell you everything you need to know about the community, or at least how to connect to the people that do know all those things, like our organizers. So 1 Million Cups is a little bit different if you're new to the community. We're about providing support. We hope that you'll be vulnerable and ask for help, because that's what we're here to do, and support each other in the community. It's not like Shark Tank. It's not a venture or an angel investment firm pitch. We're not about providing pressure or, there's no scoring going on in this community. Oftentimes, people join this community because there's no barriers. You just show up, just like you guys did this morning. And we try to be radically inclusive and meet you wherever you happen to be in your entrepreneurial journey. So this is a national organization. This is the Seattle chapter, but there's chapters all over the country, and it's all volunteer led. And there's many communities and people that show up every Wednesday. It's 9 a.m. local time, no matter where you are. And 1 Million Cups in general is about seeking education, so you learn something, presentations, which you'll see later today, and connections, which hopefully will form a little bit this morning. Also, the second Wednesday, so we meet every Wednesday, but the second Wednesday of the month, we do this hybrid thing where we meet in person at the Expansive in Seattle and Pioneer Square. So if you're physically in the area, you can join us there. But if not, then you can join us online, hybrid, and still participate and ask questions and all of that. We do ask that if you are showing up in person to register on Meetup, please, but really you can just show up and you're good to go. Also, we run the organization without any budget, and so we rely on other people to provide supporting systems and support for organizing the community. So that's method customization and McLaughlin method. Also, our volunteer leaders. So those are organizers. If you're interested in becoming an organizer, we do have room to include you in the community. Even if you're not sure about becoming an organizer leader and you just want to volunteer to do something or help out the community in some way, let us know, because we're always open to that. So today, we did our coffee and conversation. We're going to jump into our presentation here in a few minutes, and then we're going to do some Q&A. Our goal is to do an espresso round. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but basically it's like a quick opportunity for you to introduce yourself if maybe you're new to the community, and optionally, if you want to talk about what you're doing right now. And then at the end, we'll have an opportunity to break into smaller groups for some connection and conversation. So during this presentation, remember that we're here to be supportive and create a safe environment for people to do their presentations. So please give them your full attention. Think about what might resonate, something that might be helpful for them to hear based on their presentation and what they're focused on right now. Is there an experience, some insight? Maybe you've been up against the same challenges they were up against and can help them out. So once we get to that point, if you can use the reaction bar to raise your hand, and then I'll call on people one at a time to ask questions after the presentation is done. So just please hold your questions until the end of the presentation, and then we'll call on you then. So with that, we're going to be launching into today's presentation, RevereXR. And Yolanda, I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. And there we go. will pop back into the view. And then we're going to have Yolanda lead the conversation and tell us a little bit about what she's doing. So we give her a warm 1MC welcome. Yay, Yolanda. And then I suggest that you switch to speaker view, and then we can kind of go from there.
I'm not sharing a deck today, so I'm just going to talk with you guys and open to hearing your feedback and answering any questions. But I'd love to share the opportunity to talk with you more about my vision and what I'm doing and how I am seeking to disrupt the XR industry. So let's start with the problem, and there's a couple different angles to that problem. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time defining the problem because, like I said, there's a variety of definitions of those issues. So I look at it as the displacement of people and the loss of connection to community and geographic space, the tearing down of buildings that served as historic landmarks. Um, and the other problem could be that people are living in a neighborhood and don't realize that the home next to them could be the home Jimi Hendrix was born and raised in, or that Quincy Jones and Ray Charles played at the piano side by side together when Quincy Jones was 15. It really is the loss of history, right? That's the unseen and unheard challenges you hear, or that you don't hear about, that my community faces. I think other people refer to it as the upscaling or upgrading of neighborhoods. But from my experience, gentrification is a bulldozer that just paves through our neighborhoods and communities and really erases music, memories, stories, and the connection that took place there. So, in this case, some of music's most priceless stories. My problem that I'm seeking to solve is that at this very moment, there isn't a trace of that history in the neighborhood, and there isn't the opportunity to pass down that history to future generations. So, this is a call to action to preserve our memories for future generations. In 2016, in grad school, I was presented with a lot of tools in communication leadership, and I interacted with immersive technology. And I discovered that in my community, that could be a solution to the disappearing of our stories. So, right now, immersive technology provides us the opportunity to simulate a realer than ever environment. Like right now, we can preserve what's vanishing and at risk of vanishing. So RevereXR is, I founded that XR company, and my use of VR and AR preserves memories and has become my purpose and mission, XR preservation. RevereXR is pioneering inclusive immersive storytelling experiences that preserve the history of neighborhoods rich with music, cultural heritage, and historical significance. Our use of XR is a disruptive force of cultural content and storytelling that incorporates stunning AR art, immersive storytelling, VR music, entertainment, and education. The preservation of music's most priceless stories will immediately open up a limitless lane in the metaverse for diverse creators and voices and perspectives that are not currently there, might I add. So we're introducing XR. We're enabling through an XR. We're empowering by preserving stories and for generations into the future. I mean, I used this concept to achieve two master's degrees, and I was offered the opportunity to speak at Oculus, and they invited me to join Oculus Launchpad, where I had the opportunity to present my immersive storytelling concept. And I was voted by developers number one on their on their leadership board based on my storytelling concept out of 1,165 submissions. I was the only non gamer. I have an amazing prototype, and I'm raising funds to complete my prototype and expand it into a full experience to release in 2023, beginning with Jimi Hendrix. I'm looking forward to releasing even more future episodic content, more legacies, more genres, because Seattle really does have that diversity in content. I mean, the truth is I think the reason why I'm a finalist right now in Oculus Launchpad is because the industry needs more than games, right? Our content is going to captivate and introduce entirely new audiences, global audiences of diverse users, storytellers, artists, music lovers, history enthusiasts. I mean, everybody's just waiting for a reason to plug in. And this is how we do it. We're going to enhance human connections in tech and create an inclusive future, all by releasing experiences about our music history and historical significance. So let's use XR preservation through RevereXR and recreate history for those who lived it and introduce future generations to it by preserving the past for the future. Thank you.
Yay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so I'm gonna switch back to gallery view here. So yeah, just use those reaction icons. It looks like we have Jessica, go ahead.
Yeah, I thank you very much for the presentation. That was awesome. I love the idea. I'm a huge neighborhood gal and just love the history. I'm curious how you plan to weave. Different people have different perspectives of history and what that looks like and things that are priority and important to them. And so using this tool to curate all those different perspectives, how are you sort of weaving that together?
Thank you. Well, first and foremost, since we're preserving the story of a community, we let them tell their stories. So I would agree there's too many different versions of the story. And for the people who lived that history, they may feel that their stories are being mischaracterized. This is their opportunity to correct that and tell the history for themselves. So I will go a little further to say, over the past couple of years, I've involved those communities in my work. They've helped design the experiences, they provide the stories that create the realer than ever experiences. So I have a 98-year-old storyteller named Cecil Beatty. For those of you who are looking for a little Seattle history, you might want to look him up. And he, along with countless other musicians, Gary Hammond, people that are still very much active, like living, walking history of Seattle that are completely overlooked and non-documented. Like they're the ones that provide the content, because from what I found in media and a lot of the history that is archived refers to this neighborhood as the slums or malaria infested. And that's interesting because a lot of the musicians here didn't just shape Seattle's history, that music shaped the world's history, right? So this is an opportunity to correct what's already been mistold.
Nice, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew, got a question?
Yes, thank you. So Yolanda, nice to see you again. So I guess my question for you is, can you describe what the experience is like when you put on these goggles, and sort of walk us through what that feels like, and give us a sense of how that experience is, and then subsequently, I'm kind of curious, how do you actually go about creating those experiences? What's the process of making this thing become a thing inside of this thing?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not going to reveal all my secret sauce, but I will say there's a lot of features in my XR experience that will introduce XR to new things that aren't currently there. For example, you can visit historically and current Black businesses in this neighborhood and support them in the metaverse. That's not currently happening in the metaverse. You can attend a Jimi Hendrix holographic psychedelic concert as soon as I get the rest of the funding to be able to finish it. You can also invite other people from a different headset to join you in avatar form at that concert. You can host group events and even classrooms and provide historic interviews and historic performances through a VR theater that I created. I mean, essentially, I don't know about you guys, I was an 80s baby. I didn't get to see Bob Marley at the Roxbury, and that's what some of my aunties and uncles in the Caribbean always talked about, was that legendary moment. I did see Prince, however, and everyone should live that. But this gives us an opportunity to recreate what already happened. Whether you missed it or not, you can still experience it. And so that is my secret formula, is creating and recreating spaces that already existed and making them available to others. Can't give you the rest. Not yet.
Okay. Sheila, good question.
Hi, Yolanda. I really like your background. It reminds me of the Cafe Vita that was bulldozed in Capitol Hill which I did enjoy for a time until it was gone. And so that was really effective to me. I am really excited about your project because it's reminding me of a couple of other projects I'm aware of. This was my background, arts and culture, before with Artist Trust and Folklife and etc. So there's other projects doing similar things like Emerging Radiance, honoring the Nikkei farmers of Bellevue.
Yeah.
And I think, it'd be great to meet these people who've done these projects and also to look at their list of funders. Densho is telling stories of Japanese Americans and possibly other ethnicities because they mastered the art of capturing stories.
Nice.
And I think they might be, expanding how they tell the stories into more formats like VR or, just beyond the page. And then Wanawari. Are you familiar with Wanawari?
The founder was my neighbor growing up.
Oh, great. Great. Yeah, because they're all about the Central District. And it seems like there's a match there. So those are just my ideas off the top of my head. But I'm totally with you. Like, we need more than gaming.
Mhm.
I'm not really looking forward to putting on the goggles myself, but I'm excited to see cultural content coming into gaming, and congratulations for being voted on the leaderboard. That's really says a lot about the depth of what people are looking for, in
Yeah.
beyond gaming. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to talk further about whatever I might be able to share, because I've never funded tech. So
I think honestly, there's that gray area now. I think people still aren't really convinced that this is art and that it's only tech. And the truth is that it's both.
yeah, and it's tricky getting art funded because people don't generally want to fund art. So if you can make the case for tech and enriching the tech side, and then of course the tech investor wants return,
Mm-hmm.
whereas the art supporter is not looking for any return other than the art be out there. That's the tricky part about looking at it from the point of view of art, I think.
We have some cool solutions for that.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Well, I'm glad to talk further if you
Thank
ever want to.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Sheila. Dave, you had a comment or question?
Yeah, I did. Similar to Sheila, one of the things that I just saw recently, there was a comment earlier talking about understanding the different viewpoints and how they kind of, may conflict or anything else. Yolanda, I think it's a phenomenal idea. I love it. Kevin Costner is now funding something called Hear Hear. He's a co-founder with it, and he made a comment. I was actually looking for the interview. I can see if I can find it, but he made the same comment, is that we're there to tell the stories. Their app is geolocated, geofenced areas that you go into, and your app would pop up with a story of what happened at that area. And there could be multiple stories, multiple viewpoints, multiple things. They're doing a piece of curation, but anyway, he makes a great case for all those viewpoints need to be shared. We need to understand all those things, right? We can't just listen to one version. And it doesn't mean if something horrible happened in a certain area, we need to know that, right? That informs how we move forward, so we don't do things like that again. So anyway, love the idea. If there's any parallel, I'll see again if I can find that link, but I think he explains that exact challenge really, really well.
Thank you. I look forward to you finding that.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Matthew, you had a follow-up question.
Yes, I do. Thank you. It's a different question, different kind of question. So Yolanda, this community here is entrepreneurs like you, on the path discovering things about their business and themselves along the way. And so I'm curious, on your path as an entrepreneur, what has been one of the biggest lessons you've learned so far that you can share with fellow entrepreneurs who are maybe a few steps behind you on their journey down the path towards building their business idea?
I think people just need the freedom to not sometimes have to follow a checklist or a box or fit in a box, right? I mean, whether it's your personal brand or any business, it's an evolving process. I mean, every day it's growing. So I think people always think, well, I'm not ready, or I don't have this in line. And like, don't give up great for perfect, right? And you can still have an impact at great. You can still have an impact at good. You can still have an impact at ideation, right? And so I think it's just a matter of like not being so glued to the structures that we think are going to make us successful, but giving ourselves the freedom to really shape and mold our ideas and the power they can have. And I have a puppy trying to contribute to this conversation.
Yeah. Yes. That sounds great. I have a question actually about, and this is more on like the experience side, is because I know XR can include a lot of different things, including augmented reality. Is that, because you're talking about location based storytelling, is there going to be like an augmented reality part to this where it overlays information on at existing locations, kind of similar to what Dave brought up earlier?
Yes, so our XR in my terms is both the use of virtual and augmented reality. So we're talking extended reality, mixed reality, which means the use of it all combined as opposed to individual uses, right? The audience for augmented reality is larger than it is for VR right now. And the opportunity to combine both is what makes this such a compelling experience.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I think it's very cool. I've seen a lot of really fun applications of this, and I think it's going to expand for sure. Anybody else had anything to follow up before we wrap up? Oh, Sheila?
I was curious if you have a prototype that you take places anywhere.
I do. We are literally just completed our prototypes in May.
Oh, good.
With Oculus Launchpad. They are still, I think we know who the finalists are. I'm one of them. We're waiting every day for them to announce who's going to be the winner. So please feel free to stock Oculus as much as I do, as we're all waiting to find out. But I have a great prototype, and I recently did beta testing and got immediate interest from schools, a record label, a museum, and an office of tourism. Right. So the opportunity to partner with other cities and the tourism threw me for a loop. I never even saw that as a potential impact, but because that was not necessarily my angle, right? It was more about preserving what's being lost. But I see that it actually impacts quite a few different areas. And so we were looking at partnering with other cities that house profound music history, and how do we help those cities tell their stories. And then eventually, like every city should have an XR experience that documents the history of their music and the neighborhoods that birthed the sound. I think both should coexist, because before Michael Jackson or Motown walked into a studio, that music was birthed in their neighborhood where they clearly felt comfortable sharing it, and that created a movement. And yes, then later it was on the radio and in media, but at the end of the day, the neighborhoods that birthed the sound and the legacies deserve to be preserved and documented.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was just thinking about Bumbershoot is not with One Rail anymore, but someone's producing it this year, and it's Seattle's music concert, so that would be a great fit for a prototype like this, in my opinion.
That you said, I interned with them in college. I worked for Bumbershoot and Summer Nights at the Pier. That dates me. So
that does date you. I was the interim director at its next to sad ending. But yeah, good luck.
Yeah, and looks like Tiara, you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to. Hi, Yolanda. So good to see you again. I just wanted to sneak one more question in. And so you talk about the schools and the museums that have expressed interest. I'm wondering what your plan is to create those partnerships. Like, how are you going to develop that side of the business? And is there anything else that you need to do? I'm sure there is, but before then, so like, what's your timeline for everything?
So I have 2 schools that I'm going to be doing some piloting with this fall. And I have a curriculum where we're just exposing classrooms, middle school and high school, to XR, getting them familiar with it. And then there's different phases. There could be a 10-week, 14-week, or 28-week process. But also, the experiences that I'm creating is what we're going to license for education, because that provides the most stunning, exciting opportunity to put XR in the classrooms. It's one thing to expose them and present speakers that provide information on NFT and blockchain technology and AR and VR. That creates a pipeline for schools to introduce it to students. But the experiences that I am creating are living history. So we want to license those to school districts all around the world. And there's 14,000 public school districts, 35,000 private schools, 52 higher ed institutions. So we got a lot of opportunity to do it.
That's great. Okay.
I have one more.
Okay.
Okay.
One real quick, and then we're going to wrap up the Q&A. Go ahead.
Seattle has a whole City of Music department. So I hope you've talked to Kate Becker.
Can we connect on LinkedIn?
Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
please do, because I'm like full of ideas here.
Awesome.
Well, that's great. And that's what we do here, is build those connections. So we have one question for you, Yolanda. What can the 1 Million Cups community do for you?
Well, I'd say first and foremost, like, follow my journey, RevereXR.com. Stay connected with me on LinkedIn. Tell Oculus they better pick me, But honestly, have ideas. If you know of storytellers, if you know of history, I love the leads that you're taking, Sheila. Thank you. Please feel free to make those connections and those introductions. If you know of organizations and funds that are interested in funding change seekers in the tech space who are creating inclusive futures of tech, that is us. And when the experience is ready in early 2023, please download it.
Okay, great. All right, thank you very much. And we're going to jump back into some deck here. So you saw a presentation today, and so if you have, if you're interested in presenting, just let us know. We would welcome you to present your idea, a new direction for your company, some new professional focus, or if you have ideas on something that you want to learn more about as a future education presentation, or somebody that you'd like to bring into the community to help, let us know, because we're open to those ideas. Hold on. Okay. And or if you want to volunteer or help out with something specific, let us know that. Reminder. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a few minutes, because this is an optional exercise, but if you would like to tell us a little bit about yourself in like a quick 30-second spiel as far as who you are, what you do, or what your focus is, or something about yourself, and you'd like to put that out there to the community, this is an opportunity to do it. Like I say, it's optional, and we'll go back to the gallery view and just use the same thing where you raise your hand in the reaction bar and call on people. Just keep it brief, and then if someone has a question for the person that just did their espresso round, then we can ask a question too, or have a follow-up comment. Like I said, it's optional. If you'd like to do it, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Just raise your hand. We can do it. If somebody wants to jump up on stage for a few seconds and say what they're doing, a little bit about themselves. Christy, great. Go ahead and jump in.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. So my name is Christy. I am a pretty recent transplant to the West Coast from the East Coast. I have started my business, A Settled Mind. I'm a transformational coach, helping people really be happy in their everyday lives. I am a former lawyer, living kind of the classic stressed out lawyer life. I thought I was happy. I was really just intensely into my day to day, but I was so burned out. I was 32. So I ended up just blowing up my whole career, going to wait tables to really try to be happy and connect with what made me happy in my actual life. So that's what I want to help others do now. In individual sessions with me, really unravel what you want from your life, what's not making you happy. And I want to work with anyone who wants to do the work of really figuring out what you want and what kind of is keeping you from getting there. I did a lot of work with that. So thanks for listening.
Sounds great. And did anybody, you can just pop in if anybody had a follow-up question for Christy on that. You did a great job, Christy, of going through everything. Matthew.
Yes, I'm curious. So ex-lawyer, I'm curious what your training as a lawyer has helped you to be able to see in working with your clients. Like, how does that inform your practice?
Yeah, such a good question. So interesting. I am very analytical and kind of overly critical, I think, of my own life and what I expect of myself. As a lawyer, I was a criminal prosecutor working mostly with domestic violence victims and physical violence victims. So the standard that I have for myself in my own life is really high. I think self-compassion and really pulling back from the high standards and what I expect can be really difficult for anyone who's really built anything, whether it's a family, whether it's a career, anything that you really have invested in and put a lot of time and energy in. So I really feel like I can help people pull back from that, because it is really hard, especially when you care and when you're trying to do something wonderful for the world. So that's something that I think I have to offer from my experience.
Nice. Okay, thank you. And Jessica.
Christy, before we go on,
Wait,
I
sorry.
posted mine in the chat.
Okay.
So a lot of people need your services, but who do you like working with best? What fits more with your style?
Yeah, and this has been a tricky question, really good question, because I want to work with everyone. And I know in business that's so hard. So I think at this point in my career, anyone who has invested time, money, energy into anything that they're building, and it's no longer working for them. They want to unpack it, unravel it, really get to the bottom of what they want, because to come down from kind of what you've spent years building, in my experience, can almost seem impossible. So those are, that's who I want to work with. And I'm sure I'll kind of, kind of pull it back a little bit as I start working with people. I'm just 3 months into my business now. So I'm really kind of just getting out there. That's why this community has been so awesome in helping me kind of work through that.
Nice, thank you. Assuming you're in a safe space walking, Jessica, you want to jump in there?
Sure. I'm just crossing the street. It's all good.
Okay.
Jessica Vetz with Edward Jones Investment. I really focus on working with people, and it's interesting, Christy, your answer to the ideal client. The people I really enjoy working with are sort of at that point of needing intentionality and not knowing where to start with financial planning. So they know that they're not on top of it. They know that they need to get on top of business and money, but they don't really know where to start. And so that's a lot of the conversations that I have with my clients. And I particularly like the space of people who are moving from, I used to work in corporate, I had a 401k plan, and now I have my own business, and I don't know what that strategy looks like. How do I have the balance between my today building my business and my tomorrow saving for my future self? And so I do a lot of work with people on that balance of looking at layers of protection. Are we protected today? Can we make it through today to tomorrow? What about 3 months from now, 6 months from now? Okay, now let's start working on 10 years, 20 years from now. How's that future self looking? So working on those layers is a huge part of my practice.
Nice. Thank you. Any follow-up for Jessica? Okay. I know that since Jessica's been part of the community for a while, we probably have a better feel for what she does. Okay, and Tiara, thank you for you dropped Jessica's contact info in there if you do have a follow-up on that. Kelly, you jump in there.
Yes, thanks, Dan. Hi, everybody. My name is Kelly Kleingartner, and I'm a personal development and wellness coach. And my business is called Model Happiness. I have a background in nutrition, an exercise program called the Happy Body. And I have been a corporate front office trainer. And also my degree is in interpersonal communication. What I like to do is have people look at their overall picture of their life, their nutrition, their sleep, their self-care, their movement. Generally, someone has a project that they are wanting to complete. They haven't been able to do it. They're struggling, they're stuck. They want somebody to hold them accountable for that. So I do that, but I like to look at their whole picture of their life and see what's breaking down in another place. Maybe they aren't getting enough sleep, and so they don't have enough energy to want to, complete their project. So breaking down kind of the systems that are running in their life. I specifically work mainly with women, totally open to working with men. I particularly love looking at how a woman or anybody is taking care of themselves, how they're setting boundaries in their life, how they're holding themselves accountable as far as keeping promises to themselves as a way of taking care of themselves. So
nice.
Have I gone too long? Sorry.
No. That's I think you're covering the bases. That's good. I understand. And it is fun how everything is connected on all of those different things. Is there anybody that had a follow-up question for Kelly on that? Christy, jump in.
Hi, Kelly. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I just wanted to tell you that I love the conflict system. I feel like as someone who's trying to figure those out, we don't even realize that there's actually systems going through our lives every day, and that we created those systems, and they're so fundamental. So I just think that concept is so awesome and can really help people. So thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Nice. And Matthew. Yeah, Matthew, you had something also?
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. I always love the background stories, and I took a quick gander at your LinkedIn profile. I'm curious how you went from or can you talk a little bit about more like the corporate, I'm just curious what your journey was like. Why did you choose to go this path with your business?
Well, I've had a really interesting journey. I started out as a model. I have had breast cancer. I moved away from modeling into a small community and took a job at a corporate cataract clinic and worked my way up from just customer service, scheduling, all the way up through overseeing the front offices for the 17 sites. And then the pandemic. Oh, and meanwhile, I got my certification in nutrition and in the exercise program. And during the pandemic, I started doing wellness tune-ups, and it just took off to, helping all kinds of different people with all of that varied background. I've just put it all together into Model Happiness.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, sure. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing. That was great.
Having me.
Tiara, you want to jump in?
Next? Yeah, thank you, Dan. Kelly, I did have a question for you, but then I just felt that you were talking to me when you talked about habit and lifestyle changes, I could definitely use your services. Anyways, I'm Tiara Bonds with Take Charge Consulting. I help people with personal credit and business credit and business consulting. I work with individuals who are typically professionals or entrepreneurs. And then I also work with nonprofits that serve the underserved. So thank you.
Nice. Do we have any quick follow-up questions for Tiara? Matthew?
Yes. All right. Tiara, who has been your maybe most interesting or even perhaps most productive nonprofit partnership? Can you sort of shine a spotlight on that as an example?
Yeah, I think the most productive would have to be Habitat for Humanity. There's a huge importance on providing the education, and that's what I do in a lot of the situations is provide the education and the action items. But realistically, people need more. So Habitat for Humanity is able to actually pay for their clients to be enrolled in my credit program. So credit is one of those things like taxes. It's not something that we really want to do on our own. But then with dealing with the underserved, there's also a money barrier and a money issue that comes up where they're not able to hire someone. So we can educate, and all this stuff is out there online. But I think people need more than that, and they need actual help with the repair process, because credit is a confusing world. So Habitat for Humanity has been able to make that happen for their clients.
Nice. Very nice.
That's the question.
Okay, so we're going to jump in here on share the screen. Okay, so next week, and this is up to, we may be adapting this, but we're looking at doing kind of a special like teacup combo, kind of espresso round combo potentially. Or we might be doing a field trip. The organizing team is going to discuss this a little bit later, and we will keep you in the loop as far as what we're going to do next week. But we're trying some new things. Entrepreneurs, we do that, right? So, but bring a friend, and regardless of what specifically we do, there are always going to be an opportunity for community and connection. So, I'm forgetting that. Don't forget our link that's in the Zoom or in the chat. And if you click on that, it gets you to about everything that you need. So usually how we end this is we do a breakout room. So this is an opportunity to kind of continue the conversation in a little bit smaller group. And so with that, we'll jump back into there. And Matthew, do you have those set up?
The breakout rooms, I can get those set up. Yeah, one moment.
Yeah, that would be great. Matthew's going to do that, and then we're going to jump into some breakout rooms to kind of wrap up our meeting time. And if you have, just a reminder that, if you want to, the link tree will get you to that Zoom link, but it's the same Zoom link, and it's always 9 a.m. Wednesday. And regardless of whether it's the second Wednesday or not, we have the in-person, you can still join via Zoom. So please join us.